There is a quiet reason why so many families feel like their home is slowly working against them, and it has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with size, and nothing to do with how modern the house looks from the outside. It comes down to something far more fundamental, something almost invisible unless you know where to look: the shape. Because for decades, homes have been built as simple rectangles, efficient for construction, easy to scale, and profitable to repeat, but completely disconnected from how real families actually live. Think about what a typical morning looks like inside one of those rectangular homes. Someone is trying to sleep in while another person runs a blender in the kitchen 20 feet away. A child is doing homework at the dining table while a phone call echoes from the next room. A grandparent needs quiet, but the television is the only thing keeping someone else company. Nobody's doing anything wrong. Nobody's being inconsiderate. They are simply living in a space that was never designed to hold all of them at once. A space that treats a family of four as though it were four individuals sharing a building, not a household trying to function as one. Too many people sharing limited space, noise traveling through every wall, children playing where no one can see them, parents trying to work in the middle of constant interruption, and older family members needing quiet in a house that never truly settles. These are not rare problems. They are daily realities. And most families assume the solution is more space, a bigger house, more rooms, higher cost. But what if the problem was never space to begin with? What if the problem was the design itself? Somewhere between traditional architecture and modern necessity, a different approach quietly proved something remarkable: that the way a house is shaped can solve problems that square footage never could. This is where the U-shaped home begins, not as a trend, not as a luxury idea, but as a response to how families actually function when multiple generations share the same roof. And right now, in 2026, as more families begin living together again, not always by choice, but often by necessity, this design is returning in a way that feels almost inevitable. Not because it is new, but because it works. And it is worth pausing on that word. New. Because the U-shaped home is not new at all. It is ancient. You find it in the courtyard homes of ancient China, where generations of a single family lived in separate wings, surrounding a shared central garden. You find it in the Roman domus, where the atrium served as the beating heart of household life, visible and accessible from every room. You find it in the riads of Morocco, in the haciendas of Mexico, in the traditional homes of Greece and India and Persia. Cultures separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years arrived at the same conclusion independently: that a home turned inward, wrapped around a shared open space, served families better than one that simply pointed outward at the world. What we are experiencing now is not invention. It is rediscovery. And that distinction matters because it means this is not an experiment. It is a proven answer to a timeless question. At its core, the concept is deceptively simple. Instead of building a house as a closed box, the structure opens itself, wrapping around a central space, forming a U. That space becomes a courtyard, but calling it a courtyard almost understates what it really is. It is not just outdoor space. It becomes the center of the home, the place everything quietly revolves around. The kitchen faces it. The living room opens into it. The bedrooms look toward it. Instead of turning outward toward streets, fences, and neighboring walls, the entire home turns inward, toward something shared, something controlled, something private. And that single decision changes how life unfolds inside. Because in a standard home, life is divided. Inside and outside are separate worlds. The backyard is distant, disconnected, often invisible unless you step out and check. A parent cooking in the kitchen has no idea what is happening at the back of the property. A grandparent sitting in their room is completely removed from everything else going on in the household. The home becomes a series of separate experiences happening under one roof rather than a shared life unfolding in one place. But in a U-shaped home, there is no separation. The outside becomes visible from everywhere that matters. A parent preparing food can see children playing without leaving the room. A conversation in the living room happens with the same view as someone sitting in the dining space. Movement becomes fluid, not fragmented. And without adding a single extra square foot, the home begins to feel larger, not because it is bigger, but because it is more connected. Designers have a word for this quality: permeability. The degree to which a space allows movement, light, and awareness to flow through it without interruption. Most rectangular homes have very little of it. Rooms are boxes connected by corridors. You move from one contained experience to another. But a U-shaped home is almost entirely permeable. There are no dead ends. There is no part of the house that feels cut off from the rest. Everything faces everything else, and that creates a quality of life inside the home that people often struggle to describe, but immediately recognize the moment they step inside. At the same time, something equally important happens in the opposite direction. Privacy increases, and that is where most homes fail completely, because open floor plans promised connection but delivered constant interference. Different schedules collide, different needs overlap, noise becomes unavoidable. A kitchen renovation in 2010 tore down the walls and called it modern living. But what it actually created was a space where nobody could ever fully retreat. The living room bled into the dining room, bled into the kitchen, and privacy became something you could only find behind a locked bedroom door. But the U-shaped layout introduces separation without isolation. One wing of the home can belong to one generation, another wing to another. In practical terms, this means a grandparent or aging parent can have their own section of the home with their own entrance from the courtyard, their own rhythm, their own quiet, without ever feeling like they are in a separate house. A teenager can stay awake late without disturbing a grandparent who needs rest. A parent can take a work call without interrupting a child's routine. Someone grieving can have space. Someone celebrating can have noise. The home makes room for all of it simultaneously, because it is built with separation as a feature rather than a flaw. And yet, despite that separation, everyone remains connected through the same central space. Not divided, not isolated, but balanced. This balance is something that multi-generational families feel acutely because they have often lived without it. Many older adults who move in with their children describe the same sensation: a quiet loss of independence, a feeling of always being present in someone else's space, always slightly out of place in a home that was not designed with them in mind. An extra bedroom does not fix this. An in-law suite carved out of a garage does not fix this. What fixes it is a home that was designed from the beginning to hold multiple lives without any single life dominating the others. A home where someone can close their door and still feel like they belong. And then there is the part that surprises almost everyone the first time they experience it: the courtyard itself. Because it does not count as interior square footage, and yet it functions like one of the most valuable rooms in the entire house. It becomes a place to gather, to eat, to relax, to let children play safely within a space that is protected on three sides. It is a garden that is also a living room. It is outdoors, but it does not feel exposed. There is something deeply psychological about a space that is open to the sky, but enclosed by the home around it. It creates a feeling of safety and containment that no backyard or front porch fully replicates, because it is surrounded by the people you love rather than by fences and strangers. On a summer evening, the space becomes the center of everything. Dinner moves outside without moving far. Children run in circles while adults sit and talk. The kitchen door is open, the bedroom window is open, the living room slides back, and suddenly the house has expanded in a way that feels effortless. There was no renovation, no addition, no remodel. The house simply revealed what it was always designed to do. And then winter comes, and the courtyard does not disappear. It becomes a different kind of space, a place to watch rain from a covered walkway, somewhere to sit with a cup of tea in the early morning. Still, quiet, private, in a way that feels earned rather than forced. The effect goes even deeper when you begin to look at light and air. In a rectangular home, some rooms always feel darker, more closed, more dependent on artificial lighting. The back bedrooms never quite get the morning sun. The kitchen feels dim by afternoon. The hallways are perpetually in shadow. You compensate with lamps and overhead fixtures, and the result is a house that never feels fully alive, never fully awake. But when a house wraps around a courtyard, light enters from multiple angles throughout the day. The eastern wing catches the morning. The western wing glows in the late afternoon. Rooms that face the courtyard receive light from an open sky rather than from a narrow gap between buildings. The home is brighter without effort, warmer without cost. Air moves differently too. It flows through openings on opposite sides of the courtyard, creating cross-ventilation that pulls heat out and draws cool air in. This is not a new idea. It is the same principle that ancient builders understood before electricity existed, that a well-designed space can regulate its own temperature through geometry alone. In modern terms, this translates into reduced energy use, lower cooling costs, and a house that breathes rather than one that simply sits. Small advantages individually, significant advantages over 30 years. And perhaps the most important difference of all is something that cannot be seen at first glance: flexibility. Because most homes are built for a single moment in a family's life, and over time, that moment passes. A house designed for a young couple with toddlers does not gracefully become a home for teenagers, or for aging parents who need ground floor accessibility, or for adult children returning home after university, or for a family running a small business from their property. The rooms stay the same size, the walls stay in the same places, and the family bends themselves to fit a structure that was never really built for who they have become. But the U-shaped design carries adaptability within its structure. One wing can change purpose without affecting the rest. A space that begins as a nursery can become a teenager's bedroom with its own sense of independence. That same space can later become an office, or studio, or a self-contained unit for an elderly parent or a returning child. The courtyard does not change. The overall shape does not change. But within that shape, life is allowed to move in ways that most homes simply cannot accommodate. The house does not become outdated. It evolves. This matters more than it might seem, because most families will live in the same home for 10, 15, 20 years or more. In that time, everything about their daily needs will shift multiple times. A house that can hold all of those versions of a family without requiring constant renovation, without ever becoming fundamentally wrong, is worth more than its purchase price in ways that are difficult to quantify but deeply felt. Of course, there's a cost to building something like this. More complexity in construction, more exterior walls, more precise planning. Typically, a U-shaped home will cost 10 to 20% more than a simple rectangular structure of the same interior square footage. Materials go further, foundations are more intricate, and the design requires more careful thought at every stage. This is not a reason to dismiss it, but it is a reason to go in with clear eyes. What families begin to realize, often after years of living in spaces that never quite worked, is that cost alone does not define value. Because a house that solves daily problems reduces friction in ways that cannot be measured in square footage or price per foot. Fewer arguments about noise, less resentment about space, more hours spent in shared areas because those areas are actually pleasant to be in. A home that functions well tends to produce a family that functions well, and the reverse is also quietly, painfully true. The house you live in shapes the life you live. Not completely, not absolutely, but more than most people are willing to admit until they have experienced something different. And that is why this design is returning now. Not as a luxury, not as an architectural statement, not as something that belongs to a magazine spread or a wealthy suburb, but as a solution to a problem that has been quietly growing for decades. Families are living differently. More people under one roof, more generations overlapping, more needs competing for the same space at the same time. And the spaces they live in are finally starting to catch up. Because in the end, the most important realization is also the simplest. The life inside a home is shaped by the structure around it, not just by how big it is, but by how it is designed to function, how it manages light, how it handles noise, how it holds different people without forcing them into the same rhythm, how it offers connection when you need it and quiet when you need that instead. Once a family experiences a home that actually supports the way they live, instead of working against it, something shifts. The stress of daily life does not disappear, but the house stops adding to it. Morning becomes easier, evening becomes calmer, weekends feel like rest instead of retreat. And slowly, without anyone quite naming it, the home begins to do what it was always supposed to do. Hold a life, gently, without resistance. Once you have felt that, going back becomes almost impossible. And that is why the U-shaped home is not just another floor plan. It is a different way of thinking about what a home is supposed to do. Not just shelter, not just space, but a structure designed for the full, complicated, layered reality of a family actually living.